ये है कुआलालंपुर, मलेशिया की राजधानी, और इसी राजधानी में दुनिया भर से आए अम्बेडकरवादी जुटे हैं। अम्बेडकर इंटरनेशनल मिशन तथा डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर वेलफेयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मलेशिया द्वारा डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जयंती समारोह तथा AM इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस का आयोजन यहाँ संपन्न हुआ। पहले दिन 13 अप्रैल को मलेशिया के मिनिस्टर YB स्टीवन किम ची कोएंग ने इस समारोह का औपचारिक उद्घाटन किया। सांस्कृतिक समारोह के बाद उन्होंने बाबा साहब के विजन एवं मिशन पर शानदार बातें रखी।
My dear friends, how do we praise or even appraise someone like Dr. Ambedkar? He hated hero worship and even lamented the practice of sucking up to politicians in his days. In most stories I read about Ambedkar, he is the anti-hero, seen as an agitator more than a leader, a provocator more than a protagonist, a zealot more than a saint, tolerated only by the forbearance of the elite, doomed to fail from the beginning, but nonetheless demonstrated what philosopher Slavoj Zizek called the courage of hopelessness, to persevere towards his reform agenda against the despairing condition of his time. And such is the object of our discussion. How do we even begin to talk about this man? It is, of course, a good fortune that I have previously read a lecture by Dr. Ambedkar delivered in 1943 in honor of the 101st birthday anniversary of Justice Mahadev Govind Renade. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. Perhaps I shall borrow the outline of his speech in the centenary honor of Justice Renade to articulate our own centennial honor unto this man. First and foremost, Dr. Ambedkar was a man of great intellect. Despite the immense hardship in majority due to the grave injustice of being discriminated against by the factor of his birth, Dr. Ambedkar managed by his own industrious efforts to graduate from top universities in America and in the United Kingdom in economics, finance, laws, etc. His writings on diverse and difficult topics, whether economics, social politics, ethnology, history, or even theology, demonstrated brilliant scholarship. And to me personally, they were very elucidating, to say the least. Just pick any of his essays or speeches. One will find the breadth and width of his knowledge, with him citing various ancient and modern thinkers from the east to the west, and then complementing them with the depth of his own analysis and clarity of thoughts. No one can argue that Dr. Ambedkar lacked intellect, not even his political adversary. In his own words, expressing the astonishment at being appointed to the Nehru cabinet, Ambedkar said this: "I was in the opposite camp and had already been condemned as unworthy of association when the interim government was formed in August 1946. Yet, despite being seen as an antagonist to the new government at that time, he was appointed law minister and tasked to the historic role of drafting the Constitution of India. This is a perfect illustration how even those who disagreed with him acknowledge his great intellectual merits."
दिनांक 14 अप्रैल को मलेशिया के प्रधानमंत्री तेरी अनवर बिन इब्राहिम मुख्य अतिथि के तौर पर इस समारोह में सहभागी हुए। उनका भव्य स्वागत हुआ। भारत के बाहर ये पहला ऐसा मौका था जब किसी देश के प्रधानमंत्री अम्बेडकरवादियों द्वारा आयोजन में सहभागी हुए। प्रधानमंत्री का स्वागत डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर के पोते भीमराव अम्बेडकर ने किया। इस वक्त प्रधानमंत्री ने बाबा साहब पर बहुत उम्दा बात रखी। इससे पूर्व मलेशिया की उपमंत्री तथा सीनेटर सरस्वती कंडास्वामी तथा इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के मुख्य आयोजक पंजामूर्ति ने भी अपनी बातें रखी।
As most of you have already known, Ambedkar was born on this day in 1891 into a community that was historically deemed Dalit. Those days, untouchables. It was a different time and a different place. Fighting not only the outrageous colonial empire, but also a culture and a caste system. It's basically so inhuman. For Ambedkar to progress in life was an act of defiance, an audacious struggle against the servitude of social injustice. Unlike other pupils in his class from higher castes, young Ambedkar was forced to attend lessons while on the floor in the corner of a classroom, seated on a gunny sack that nobody dared to touch. He would often go thirsty because he was forbidden from touching the school's water tap. No barber would cut his hair. No launderer would wash his clothes. Now, we are talking about this man with such spirit and courage. He wanted to study Sanskrit, but that was the classic language for the elites, but was denied because that language was considered too sacred for a Dalit. Yet, despite these and many other deprivations and indignities, Ambedkar would eventually earn 2 doctorates, apart from qualifying for the English bar at Grace Inn. I salute his courage. He would then lead a social movement seeking to overturn centuries-old prejudices, emerge as India's James Madison. In a way, although this is a popular comparison, I would consider Ambedkar greater than James Madison. And in the confidence showed by the Congress leadership under Jawaharlal Nehru, he was appointed chairman to craft Indian Constitution and made the Minister of Law. And that's why you study the constitutions of various countries. Indian Constitution is quite spectacular in terms of addressing central core issues about freedom, about basic rights, about the rights of those deprived, social depravities, which we in Malaysia benefited a lot when we crafted our constitution in 1957, or prior to that, even by the Reid Commission. His writings and speeches covered subjects as diverse as economics, constitutional law, partition of India, linguistics, theology, and of course, central question of caste. I was telling Stephen Sim that whilst in prison in Sungai Buloh, I have extensive notes. Now, I should share with you because his enormous lectures and writings and books in English, and these copious notes gave me this sort of a real understanding of the struggle of those in the minority and who had to struggle beyond what is deemed a normal path.
Basically, when this organization was conceived about 14 years back, why? Actually, at the time in Malaysia, we were witnessing political leadership crisis where there was change of leadership and there was split in parties. Different segments were trying to claim leadership ownership to the leadership. Court cases, court battles, and there were so many agitations happening in this country in the year 2010. That's when Dato' Periasamy, who's seated here, he inspired us that we leave behind all the political struggle. Let us move forward with a vision to be the voice of the unheard, to advocate the concerns and challenges of the underprivileged. So when he mooted that idea, at the time, Dato' Panjamurthy was already involved in the International Ambedkar Mission. So we four of us, and there was another editor, Dato' Rajan, we four of us got together and we said that we are not going to be part of the mainstream political struggle, but we will remain, we will be the voice of the unheard. And therefore, we formed this association in the year 2010 with the support of Mr. Oms Tyagarajan. We were able to hold many international gatherings, and we were able to carry out our activities in the form of voicing for the unheard. Through the newspapers, that was the only platform that we had. We didn't use political platform because we came from different ideology. I was pro-Pakatan, he was pro-Barisan. So we said we will focus on the issues of the underprivileged community in this country. Media was our platform. We had all the liberty to voice out for the people of Malaysia.
Today is our section is about the obituary of our late Raju Kamble's event. First of all, I know Raju Kamble more than 20 years. He is the first man when I was the Secretary General of IPF, and the former late President Tan Sri M.G. Pandithan was the President of Indian Progressive Front, IPF, and I was his Secretary General during the time of 1998. During the time, Raju Kamble heard more about the struggle of the Dalits in Malaysia. We are fighting for the rights of the underprivileged community in Malaysia under our leadership of Tan Sri M.G. Pandithan. So he came and approached me, and he came to me and asked that he wants to cooperate on the struggle what we are facing in Malaysia during that time. So I've introduced Raju Kamble to Tan Sri M.G. Pandithan, and we have discussed a lengthy discussion, and we come to a conclusion that we jointly wanted to do our struggle for the upliftment of the underprivileged Indian community in Malaysia. So based on that, Mr. Raju Kamble has made an appointment in the central government of India. He make an arrangement to meet the President of India, Honorable K.R. Narayan. So we went as a delegation of 20 people. I think Madhyalagan is here, Marimuthu is here, so many people, Veera, all are here. We went as a delegation to Delhi to meet the Honorable President. It was a very honor for us to meet him, and we invited him that we are going to call for a Dalit International Convention in Malaysia in the year 1998. So we invited him to come for that convention, and we also made him the patron of the convention. But unfortunately, he did not come because of his tight official schedule. Therefore, in 1998, with the tireless effort and cooperation of Raju Kamble, we managed to organize the first Dalit international convention. In other words, we call that as a DIO, Dalit International Organization. Many leaders, many prominent leaders from India, especially Puran Devi, Kanshiram, Ramvilas Paswan, and many others attended that historical event on DIO, that means Dalit International Convention. The whole country focused on that Dalit convention. And mostly the Indian government officials, they are focusing on that particular convention. So it has drawn a very high attention to all the people in the world. What's happening in Kuala Lumpur on the Dalit International Convention? All the Indian, there are 600 Dalit delegates from foreign countries throughout the world attended that particular convention. So that is our starting point, and we discussed a lot with our friend Raju Kamble how to promote, how to uplift this society. But unfortunately, I still have to tell you, unfortunately, Dalit International Convention has turned into a political battle, a political form, a political platform that was not very suitable to be in Malaysia, because each and every delegate has his own leader. So they propagate their own leader under the pretext of political agenda. So Raju Kamble and his team, during the time, the first person to introduce Raju Kamble to us was our friend is Karnagaran is sitting here. And Vijay Hatmodi is here. And Vilas Gaikot is here. And one person from Coimbatore, I think Ramachandran. All these are the people who initiated the basic movement.
कॉन्फ्रेंस के दूसरे दिन दुनिया भर से आए प्रतिनिधियों द्वारा विशेषतः दिवंगत राजू कामले जी, जो IIM के संस्थापक रहे, उनके जीवनी और मिशन के लिए उनके कार्यों को याद किया गया.
Culinary traditions and vibrant festivals like Diwali. The parallels between the two cultures highlight a shared heritage that transcends geographical boundaries, with influences from epics like Ramayana shaping shared heritage through language, cuisine, and customs. The cultural tapestry of India and Malaysia serves a story of connection and mutual influence, fostering a sense of kinship that continues to enrich both societies to this day, which tempts me to say that Malaysia and India are in fact sister countries separated by geographical distances. We gather to honor the remarkable life and legacy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, a visionary leader whose journey from adversity to achievement continues to inspire generations. Born into a society marked by prejudice and discrimination, Dr. Ambedkar defeated the odds, rising to become the architect of India's constitution and a beacon of hope for millions. His story is one of resilience, courage, and unwavering commitment to social justice. As we reflect on his remarkable journey, let us draw inspiration from his tireless pursuit of equality and owe to carry forward his legacy of empowerment for all. As Hemant Sute, that is me, I stand before you all as an ardent disciple of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, whose resolute endeavors paved the way for our rights to dignified existence and equitable treatment. Today, the global commemoration of, today, that was yesterday, commemoration of Dr. Babasaheb's birth. Dr. Ambedkar's legacy resonates profoundly, even reaching regions to the British Columbia and the city of Burlington in Ontario, Canada, UK, and several other where April is held as Dalit History Month, culminating on April 14 and with Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Day of Equality. In the spirit of unity and remembrance, we assemble here today not only to exalt the indomitable spirit of Babasaheb, but also to pay homage to engineer Raju Kamble sir, who is very close to my heart, and Panditan sir.
My father suddenly passed away in 1960 when I was a couple of months old, and my elder brother was 6 years older than me. So Rajuji was my elder brother. He was 6 years older than me, and we have 2 sisters as well. So my mother was alone, and sudden loss of husband at young age with 4 children. She has to come back to Nagpur because her parental town was Nagpur. So without any job and all those things, with 4 children, that journey she started. Now, I agree that many of us may have a similar background of that generation of 60s, but my mother was slightly educated, I mean, around, SSC standard. So she started for a private school job, and with 4 children, but we do not have any property like in a house or, any backup. So my initial childhood was when I started to remember, so I see my elder brother Raju Kamleji as a father figure in my house, because I didn't see my father's face at all. And my mother used to work as a primary teacher in a school in Pachpauli, Nagpur, and we stay in New Shukrawari and Karnal Bagh, one of the slum areas of Nagpur, is like a central Nagpur. And she has a lot of struggle to carry 4 children. And that private school, they will never pay salaries, sometimes months together, 4 months, 6 months. So no backup means she has to really struggle. So at times she will walk from Karnal Bagh to Pachpauli to teach primary students. She was a primary teacher in SSC girls school. So this is how we all started. So what I remember when I saw my elder brother, he was the only man in the family. But during this course, we lost one of our sisters, and that's how our education started. So earlier days, when we moved to Karnal Bagh, it's one of the slums, and that slum, we used to stay in a rented house, using a community toilet, and we had a lot of issues, like, because my mother was not paid monthly, so sometimes we have to borrow, wheat flour. But the moment what happened, he went to IISc in Bangalore, and he came in touch with one guy who introduced him to BAMSEP. And then his social journey started. And then after finishing his IISc MTech, he went to join Engineers India Limited in Delhi. And then that BAMSEP, he started working for BAMSEP. And then he thought, yes, now I'm engineer. I started making money. And I know how my life was so much of full of struggle. What about those? Those who are still struggling. Now it's my turn. So he forgot about making, people will buy scooter, they will try to get some apartment. I mean, they'll try to become more comfortable. So rather than going to that comfort, the moment he became engineer, he started looking for people like him.
14th April is the wonderful day in the millions people's lives. We all are thankful to Mr. Dattuk Pandya Murthy ji, and to celebrate the 100th of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in Malaysia. So we are proud of you, sir, Pandya Murthy sir, and Sudhir Kamble ji, younger brother of Raju Kamble sir, and Hemant sir, and all the team, and delegate came from Japan, Shashank ji, and K.P. Chaudhary sahab, and Ramesh Kaler ji from London. So all are welcome, and I'm very happy to be and honored to have some few words with the community members. So if we talk about Baba Sahab, he was #1 scholar in the world. The reason, he studied 18 hours a day. So he is the only one scholar. Give him the big hand of applause, please, for Baba Sahib. He is the symbol of knowledge, tallest champion of human rights in the world, and an architect of Indian Constitution, which gave us new life to live as human beings on this planet. In 2008, Columbia University has a survey and the deep study of Baba Sahib, and they declare father of modern India, Baba Sahib, as a father of modern India. Nobody knows, even some people don't know in India too. Because when the slogan comes out from an institute like Columbia, and we people don't propagate too much, number one. Secondly, our media now is very active, and people should know. So why he is the father of modern India? This is the main question. Why they gave the slogan to Baba Sahib, father of modern India? Because he built up India in the manner he wanted on the future of the country, to the people who stood together, lived together, enjoy the freedom together. And so he did everything for us. Sometimes I talk, if I have the two tongues, meri do jawan ho, I cannot praise Baba Sahib. The reason is because he did a lot in one life. We need the two lives to praise Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. And if we talk about his achievements and all the philosophy, it will take more time. So let me come to the mission, because the slogan pay back to society. And I want to tell about brother Raju Kamble sir. And he was so a big name in the Ambedkarite world, Ambedkarite people. He worked whole life, and from his own pocket. Because I worked with him a long time in all the events in Colombia, in all the events in Consulate General of India in New York, and in some other places too. He was so dedicated, and he was a relentless warrior in the world. If I see the Ambedkarite people now in India, and I'm sorry, don't mind it, he was wonderful. He was the number one in the world. He dedicated his whole life. I give you some example. He was making $150,000 US. And when he passed away, no penny, nothing was in his account. Can you imagine it? Where the money is gone? All the money was spent for the mission, because he always buy the books from his own pocket and distribute all over the world. If something the conference somewhere, he buy maybe 2 or 3 suitcases of the books and distribute. Because I have the experience, when I was the General Secretary in Shri Guru Das Temple, New York in 2010, I called him, Raju bhai, come over here. He's gone to the big program over here, because the 10,000 people gather on Guru Ravdas ji birthday program in February most of the time. And I didn't see him. I went out just a cup of tea, and I saw him over there on the table, have the books and distributing to the people. This was the dedication. I requested him to come, so have the few words from the stage. And he said, Sai bhai is okay, don't worry. So some people need now lot for himself, but he always needs something for others. And secondly, Raju Kamble was a pioneer of the world conferences, because AIM started from here. Panjamurthy sir and I forget sir name, maybe over here. So the founder of AIM. So AIM now, I think Sushant is in the 9 countries, right? So almost they spread the message, but this is the same great personality, Raju bhai, and he started this one. I am always proud of him. In 2018, his last conference was in Japan. In 2015, I was unable to come when the statue was installed over there in Koyasan. And in 2018, he took the promise, Sahib bhai, you have to come over there in Japan this time. I said, okay, we will come over, see you over there.
मंच पर उपस्थित प्रतिनिधियों ने अपनी अपनी बात रखी। IIM इंटरनेशनल अंबेडकर मिशन की शुरुआत, इसका कार्य कैसे शुरू हुआ, ये मिशन दुनिया भर में कैसे कैसे फैला, इस पर प्रकाश डाला गया।
For me, I was going to talk about the NRI Ambedkarite movement, and To start with, we all know what is NRIs, basically those who are living outside India, non-resident Indians. And Ambedkarite is those who follow the philosophy of Dr. Ambedkar, Periyar, Phule, Shahu Maharaj, Jyotiba Rao. All those are called as Ambedkarite. Now, Ambedkarite, like as you all know, it started with Raju Kamble sir. I came to know Raju Kamble sir in 2000 when I was studying in IIT Bombay. He was, as usual, doing his job of distributing the books, and I was one of the one who received the books, and that's how I got into this. Earlier that, I was also part of a Baba Saheb Ambedkar Student Association, where we used to do a lot of empowering the students and building the self-confidence among the students so that they can go for a higher education, building the leaders of our community. So then I moved to Australia, and we started a chapter of Ambedkar International Mission under the guidance of Gaikwad Sahab and the Raju Kamble sir. In 2015, we had Jayanti in the biggest venue of Australia, Federation Square, where both Raju Kamble sir and Gaikwad sir was there, and it was an honor to have him in Australia. He stayed with us in Melbourne at my place, so I had great memories with him.
The topic of my presentation is right to education and caste atrocities in higher educational institutions. As all human beings need food for their survival, so they need education, thus said Tathagat Gautam Buddha. Bodhisattva Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar said that without education, our existence is not safe. The Constitution of India recognizes education as a fundamental right. The preamble of Constitution of India is a blueprint for reconstruction of society based on the principles of liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. And education is a medium to accomplish this vision. Then in 1991, there came the phase of privatization with LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, with private educational institutions, autonomous, self-finance, and self-govern, with no reservation for the socio-economically backward classes. It was a pay and learn policy without any scope of social opportunity. It was also not in tune with the principle of equality ingrained in the Article 14 of the Constitution of India. In 2005, this issue was taken up to the then Honorable President Abdul Kalam and various members of Parliament by our team of Vandana Sangha, Diksha Bhumi Nagpur, with the help of Reverend Bhante, Surai Sasai, the member of Minority Commission, Delhi, and Professor Devidas Godeswar. Also to generate awareness among the masses, various seminars were taken. And our efforts bore fruit. And the 93rd 2005 amendment was enacted in the Article 15, and now it is known as Article 15(5), 93rd Amendment Act 2005, with effect from year 2006, which ensures reservation for socio-economically backward classes in private educational institutions, both aided and non-aided. This was a great achievement in the field of higher education for SEBC in private educational institutions. The duty of Buddhist, true Buddhist, is not merely to be good Buddhist, but his duty is to spread Buddhism. He must believe that to spread Buddhism is to serve mankind. That is what Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar said. Thank you very much. I am also thankful to my nephew, Dr. Vinit Varte, Associate Professor, St. George Hospital, Mumbai, and also to my son Aditya, Software Engineer, Santa Clara, California, for helping me in preparing PPT. I am also thankful to my husband, Dr. Anil Dhoke, Additional Director, Ministry of Health, Mumbai, for his great support in my social cause.
I met Raju Kamble in 1978 October, because we both joined Engineers India Limited, a Government of India undertaking company in Delhi. So he and me are same batch, same time joined the EL. Then onwards, we are friends. The day of joining onwards, we are friends. And both of us used to work for Bomb Safe Kanshiramji. And we, as Sudhir said, we roam around all over Delhi and nearby Delhi. And all our holidays will be just going and meeting people, distributing oppressed Indian and magazines, Hindi magazine and all. This was our work. And we made a group in EAL. We are all engineers, like Meshram, Vishwanath Meshram, Kamble, me, and a few other engineers from Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Punjab, all the states. So that was work we have done. Then we came to Malaysia, resigning Engineers and Limited, we came to Malaysia. We came to Malaysia as a same group of people are working here also. Then every year we used to celebrate Ambedkar Jayanti at our homes, individually also very grand fashion. We don't celebrate any other functions. Like Deepavali or any Hindu function we don't celebrate. Even Tamil New Year is not that much for me. Ambedkar Jayanti, April 14th was very great. And so we used to celebrate that. So coming to Malaysia here, in 92, myself, Kamleji, Raju Kamble, Ilangovan, Ramachandran was not there, Babu Nayak, and Arya Kamble, we were all here, around 5 families or 6 families. And my brother-in-law is in Saramban. We called him also with his family. We celebrated Ambedkar Jayanti in 92, April 14th in my house. And it was a great function. And we had the whole night, everybody participated. Women, children, men, all participated. And we had a discussion how to pay back to the society. Now we come out of India, as an NRI we are earning money, that we have to pay it back to our society in India, do something, what to do, how to do, and what name we should do. Then the whole night we were, analyzing, arguing, everybody took participation. Then we concluded the name AIM, Ambedkar International Mission, in that night, early morning. That is 15th morning, around 4 o'clock we concluded. Then we had tea and all, 6 o'clock we all slept, morning only. So that is the day AIM was formed, around 6 families in my house celebrating April 14th. And all that time, for all this cause, Raju Kamble, R.D. Kamble, is the key person motivating all of us in every activity and Baba Sahib celebration, Buddha Jayanti celebration, but we were not really that time real Buddhists also. More of Ambedkarite rather than Buddhist. But Maharashtrians were already Buddhist.
Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was a foremost champion of civil, political and human rights of the 20th century. Born in social conditions in India, where his own countrymen treated him as an untouchable, he was consigned to be unfit for human association. He arose through dint of his intellect and strength of character to challenge the prevailing social and political prejudices of his time. He became first law minister and principal architect of Indian Constitution after India achieved independence in 1947. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar played a pivotal role during Indian independence movement. His commitment to establish human dignity, decency and equality ranks him amongst the world's greatest thinkers. Despite facing crushing misery and ignominies throughout his life, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar left a lasting legacy for the people of India, steering the country towards democracy with a firm belief in fundamental rights, liberty, equality, fraternity, economic and social justice. Most of you are well familiar with his life and philosophy and unrelenting mission to establish human decency. His contributions are in many diverse subjects as anyone could care to study on this planet. His unfathomable thirst for knowledge in economics, law, sociology, anthropology, philosophy, history, political science, etc. is a never-ending list. He was a polymath, having the professional expertise as a jurist, economist, socialist, journalist, politician, social reformer who dedicated his entire life for social, economic, and political upliftment of the downtrodden. As a polymath during the British Raj, he applied his intellect and erudition for solving his country's problems in the field of politics, economic, legal, cultural, and social. He confronted adversaries in India who misunderstood him, yet used his services and knowledge of world affairs and his legal acumen for piloting India's constitution, of which he was its principal architect. I will briefly touch on his economic legacy, an area often ignored in public narrative, so will serve as a reminder of his economic legacy. Economics. Economics is a specialized and technical subject, and some people find the subject boring, yet we all are affected by decisions made by our politicians, guided by economists and financial advisors. It is the preserve of the professionals in business, finance, and government. John Kenneth Galbraith, a Canadian economist, once remarked that in economics, hope and faith coexist with great scientific pretensions and also deep desires for respectability. Thomas Sowell, a US economist, once remarked that the first lesson of economics is scarcity. There is never enough of anything to satisfy all those who want it. The first lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of economics.
In the year of 1998, when the international conference was conducted, at that time the chairman of our federation, Mr. Udit Raj Ramraj, was nominated by the federation, and on behalf of this 40 lakhs SC/ST employed officers working in India in the government sector, he has represented the session. This time, being a Secretary General of this federation, I have been nominated to attend this session. And I am thankful to Dr. Ambedkar Organization Malaysia, headed by Mr. D. Panjamurthy, for organizing this excellent celebration in Kuala Lumpur. Yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister, in a very decent and very specific way, he has clarified his views about our Masiha, Baba Sahib Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. I think after listening to the speech of the Honorable Prime Minister, everybody who has attended the program yesterday, very much, you are pleased to listen the views of the Honorable Prime Minister, na? And this 3-day session, our brother Hemant Sute, his health is not okay. He was hospitalized. And after coming in, I have ring him, Nani Chaudhary ji, I am coming. And after reaching here, he again gone to doctor and taking the medicine, and he is not well. But he is very much here. Kindly give a big hand to him, because his contribution in organizing with Mr. D. Panjamurthy, his contribution in organizing this historical event, in fact, his contribution is marvelous. Brother, because I came from India and I represent the educated and organized people of the SC/ST community in India. Due to the blessings and efforts which our Rajratna Ambedkar ji has mentioned just now, due to the tireless efforts of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, in India, the SC/ST people were lucky enough to get 22.5% reservation in government sector and 25% reservation in political, means Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. And 40 lakhs were very lucky who get the government employment in India. If we consider and take the things in Malaysia, there is no Dr. Ambedkar. In Sri Lanka, Nepal, Pakistan, the people, because Baba Sahib Ambedkar has done everything for India. He prepared the Indian Constitution. He make all these amendments in the Indian Constitution for the SC/ST people. And due to the contribution of Dr. Ambedkar, 40 lakhs SC/ST people succeed to enter in the government sector. But now the things are totally changed. The number of the government sector services is 6 lakhs only. 34 people are out of government service. And day by day, because I am in New Delhi, I usually meet the government authorities, President of India from our community K. Narayan Sahab, now Mr. Ramnath Kovind and Draupadi Murmu, and our union ministers of SC/ST community. Everybody is helpless, I am telling you. Everybody is helpless.
Now, she is the head of women's group in Fukuoka in Japan. She's going to talk about the situations in her area.
I'm Kaoru Tanaka from Japan. I'm the head of Black Liberation League women's group in Chikugo area. 私はブラック解放同盟筑後地区協議会で女装部長をしています田中薫です。福岡県の私の住んでいる地域のブラックの女性の実態とその活動について話をします。
I'm going to talk about the situations in our movement of black women in my city, Fukuoka area.
その前に私の住んでいる上北島支部では解放太鼓という和太鼓のチームがあります。このチームは和太鼓を通してブラック差別をなくそうと作られたもので、小学生から大人まで20名程度で活動しています。今から6年前、福岡で第4回ダリット会議が行われたときに、アトラクションとして演奏させていただきました。宣言を英語で練習し、英語バージョンの宣言を朗読しながら和太鼓を演奏しました。
First of all, we have the traditional Japanese drum team called the Liberation Drum. This drum team was made to combat Buraku discrimination. We are about 20 of us in the team, and the members are from elementary school students to adults. 6 years ago, we had the 4th Dalit International Convention in Fukuoka, Japan. We played the Liberation Drum to welcome you. We translated the declaration of Suiheisha in English and read it when the drums are played.
私の身近ではそのような子供が多く、その子供たちの生活が少しでも豊かになるように日々サポートをしています。先日一人の子供が高校を卒業し、彼女は5人兄弟で唯一高校を卒業しました。日本の高校を卒業する人の割合はおよそ 98.8% です。ほとんどの子供が高校を卒業しています。しかし彼女の家庭ではその彼女一人です。兄弟も父母も高校は卒業していません。母親は初めての高校卒業証書と喜んでいました。また所得の低い世帯ほど大学進学率も悪く、学歴による障害賃金に大きな差ができており、仕事の選択肢が狭まる現状があります。
There are many children like this case, so I support them in order to make their life better, even just for a little change. The other day, one Buraku child graduated from high school. She has 4 other siblings, but she's the only one who managed to graduate high school. In Japan, 98.8% of high school students graduate each year. However, in her case, she's the only one out of 4 other siblings and her parents. Her mother was very happy to see the first ever high school graduate certificate. The family of low income are unlikely to make it to the higher education. Therefore, it affects their lifelong income as much as their opportunities to employment.
ブラックにおける女性の実態は、彼女たち自身が自分の生活を自分たちで自立したものにできていないということが言えると思います。多くのブラックの女性が自分で自分の人生を選択できるような日々が来るよう、これからも活動を続けていたいと思います。Thank you.
The situations of Black women that we can't even make our own life better by ourselves. So I will continue to work to see the day that many Black women can choose to lead the path for their own lives. Thank you.
We must note that Baba Saheb Ambedkar is not a person but an ideology. He gave us the way of living not just for Dalits but also for everyone who faces discrimination. We all have the duty to know about Dr. Ambedkar and his advised way of life because it is the way of truth. I am a history graduate, and as I read through history, the greatest man who had written our constitution, his ideologies and his theories for a casteless society is not being written in history books at all. I did my final year research on Buddhism, and there my points, which were not fake but the truth, were not appreciated by my professors. They said that you can't write or say everything that is true. Only in the end of my full history course of 3 years did I know that history books is not the real, history written in my history books and Indian history books are not the real history. It is the duty of every person to know about history in Ambedkar's way, Dr. Ambedkar's way, because it is the reality. Several statues of Buddha have been destroyed and buried in Tamil Nadu because the upper classes wanted Buddhism to be destroyed because it talked about equality. The famous deity of Buddhism, Hinduism, we know that Ganapati is a masked identity of Buddha because in Vedas, the Hindu religious texts, we don't have any mention about Ganesha. We have the mention of deity Ganesha mentioned only in the later Puranas. And we can find the words Ganapati and Ganesha mentioning Buddha in the Buddhist Jataka tales. But now, so the whole religion of Hinduism has been fabricated and elements of Buddha has been included. Buddha statues have been morphed and changed into Muniyappan and Muniyandi statues that we now are praying as Hindu statues. Only if we see the history and if we know more about the real history, the history from Dr. Ambedkar's perspective, will we know the reality. Truth needs to prevail. We will know the truth only by studying about Dr. Ambedkar. Many people, even Dalits, have the view that discrimination does not exist now, but even before weeks, in Tamil Nadu, in the city of Chennai, the hot city of Chennai, we have a young boy who has been stabbed until death by their brother-in-law because he had done intercaste marriage. And that intercaste marriage is not someone from an upper caste, not a Brahmin. He just loved a girl from a backward caste, BC, MBC, not a Brahmin or anything. So everyone who says discrimination is not prevailing or just not aware of the society or not aware of the reality. A person who considers themselves as an intellectual who has to grow in life in the field of history or in the field of anything that matters must know about Dr. Ambedkar's principles. We must always remember that truth is not written in history, and if we want truth to be written, we need to know about Baba Saheb. Thank you.
What have we achieved till date today? So I'd like to go through that. You can see in 1996, 2006, 2006, instead of convention, we would say it was a World Buddhist Convention in Nagpur, India, which is not Dr. Ambedkar International Convention. But other than that, 96, 2011, 2014. Now, let me walk you through what we have been achieved while doing these conventions since last, these 4 conventions, and today is the 5th convention. As you know, in all the conventions, we have to do a lot of resolutions, right? But resolutions is just not for talking. We have to act on the resolutions, right? So I will walk you through the resolutions. As we know, we have lost our beloved Raju sir in 2018. So this slide that what you are seeing is on his name. I have started RDK Memorial organization in India, social organization in India, which is specifically for the education. This project is for the students who are failed in 8th class, 9th class, 10th class and 12th class. Those who don't have jobs at all, they don't have any hopes of getting good jobs. What we have done is, and this achievement is based on the convention we have done in Japan in Japan convention, there was one of the entrepreneur from Burakumin community who runs a business in Japan, has come up with the help and asked us to, I presented him the problems of India. I requested him to do something together. It took around 4 or 5 years from 2018 to come to this level that we have started giving jobs to these 10th fail and 12th fail students to Japan. What is the project? In Japan, there is a big population of old age people. There are no people to help them in the center to service like giving them food, medicine and all that. There are lack of people. For this kind of jobs, Japan is allowing to bring students of without education. They don't need education. What they need is little bit Japanese language and a nursing and some certificate of exam that is to be given online, which is very normal, like how will you serve the food and all that. So that company from Japan collaborated with us, with AIM, and we have started this center in India, where you can see this is online class to teach to students the Japanese language. This is a Japanese teacher from Japan coming online, teaching to the students Japanese language and nursing thing. Not only that, this company is providing stipend of 5,000 rupees per month to the student. So it is not any training fees we are asking from the student. Because they are coming from the poor background, from villages and all, we are also giving them stipend to have their life good in Nagpur. So this is the one biggest achievement we have done for 10th and 12th fail students. I started my IT company in Japan in 2018. What I did is instead of employing experienced people from other communities, I took out all those students who are jobless from 3 to 5 years, have gaps, gave them training in my set. This is my office in Nagpur, in IT Park. In this office, you can see our Baba's photo is also there in the office. No God photos there, of course. So in this office, we trained almost 20 engineers who were jobless. We give them training of around 1 year to 1.5 years in IT sector and also engineering sector of civil designing, building designing. And once they get the training and they become successful, then we are also giving job within our company only. So currently I have 25 engineers in India and 3 engineers in Japan. Those are from our community only, those were jobless. So we give them the internship to build the skills. Similarly, we are trying to achieve more internship skills for the people who are struggling for the jobs. So through you, if you have students like this who are struggling, you can always connect with me and we can help out to them.
I am working in Rajasthan, our district, and now let me tell you the definition of Ambedkar people, the real Ambedkar who really work for the people. These 2 people, professors in Delhi University, Mrs. Poonam Singh, Dr. Vijay Pal, they took loan on their house, on the entire property, 90% loan on their entire property, and plus they took out the provident fund, which amounts to $358,000. It's not rupees. And they spent all that money to develop that schools in the most impoverished area of Rajasthan. He did all the survey and then, and he started the school. And when I learned it, so I spent, I'm spending almost 3 to 4 months in that area. And the people are so much backward, no income or very low income, and no interest in education. They don't know the value of education. So the principal, Mr. Subhash and me, last time we worked for 3 months and then we visited house to house. And then we educated the people that your ancestors had been for, say, thousands of years in this house, and you will be in the same place unless your children don't get education. So we got, after 3 months, it was a surprise to us, we got 150 students in kindergarten, from the age ranging from 3.5 years to onward. So that was a great success. And our aim is to make that school, best in the state, Rajasthan. And now I will show you something about the videos, how we are working, in that area, just to let you know the condition of those villages. There is no audio, but I'm telling that, please send your children to Kharathala school, so because the language, because without education, there is no progress. This is the school. He spent $358,000. I have not seen anybody, to my knowledge, who has spent that money. And on that loan, he is paying $85,000 interest every month. So he is always short of money. And when I go to America, I start, it's just like begging, to the people that we need help to help this guy. And we have been collecting, a little bit, whatever the money, we try to help them out. This is the school in our, village, UP. We went there to, tell them something, how to memorize and how, to speed up their memorization practice or techniques. And here is a Dr. Rajru Fulia. I am shocked. No IS officer, no PCS officer, they have taken full advantage of reservations and they are useless to the community. And this is Dr. Rajru Fulia. He is a retired IS officer, Vice Chancellor. He spent almost 25 days out of 30 days in the villages.
All of us.
Very proud of them.
Side statue. Probably it will be one of the biggest in the United States of America.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I think that's enough. Yeah. Thank you very much. Really appreciated. But there's a lot to be done. I think, we have a lot in common.
Jai Bhim to everyone. I must first confess that the contributions made by different people here representing different nations is extremely commendable and inspiring. And I call myself still a student. I'm still learning from all of you. So if I make any statement of arrogance, kindly forgive me in the beginning itself. I should say that the topic that has been given to me is about the immortal vision and mission of Dr. Ambedkar. Yesterday and the day before, the kind of speech that we heard was extremely vibrant. It was making everyone stand. And I must again confess and admit the hardship taken by Datuk Panjamurthy sir. The way he has organized, it was fantastic. And more than that, making the minister, especially the Prime Minister of Malaysia, to speak about Dr. Ambedkar, I would say, I bow in front of him by saying that this is one of the greatest achievements for the Ambedkarite movement. Not only that, the way they both speak, it was very much based upon well-researched articulation. It was not something that came as a rhetoric. They were able to immediately relate with one another. I think we should learn from these great two individuals who gave a wonderful speak. And at the same time, there is also a retrospective thought that should be always revolving around our minds. As the Honorable Prime Minister, he referred about Baba Saheb's speeches, especially about this parliament speech. We need to revisit every day, I would say, or every moment. Like the way some of the Buddhist sisters, they were keep on emphasizing the tenets of the Buddha Dhamma especially. Like we do chanting, every day we do chanting. We do Trisarana Panchashila as being a Buddhist. It's basically trying to revive our minds. It refreshes our mind. It keeps on reminding our mind. Similarly, the Prime Minister emphasized by saying that maybe Baba Saheb have spoken in the 1950s, but it is still relevant. Now, Baba Saheb's historic speech which he gave in Parliament, we all need to revisit. In that speech, he makes some of the very significant remarks when he addressed in the Parliament in 1949, November 25th. During that time, he talks about India is still a country and it has to progress to become a nation.
So, first of all, let us address this question. What is caste? So, India's caste system is a 2,000-year-old institution and is possibly one of the most enduring social structures in the world. It classifies a rigid hierarchy of social status and divides Hindus into 4 varnas, mainly Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Those who fall outside these groups are known as Dalits or scheduled castes and Adivasis or scheduled tribes. Though the Indian Constitution guarantees protection against the caste discrimination, casteism continues to influence hiring patterns and popular opinion in the country. As the 4th pillar of democracy, the media possesses significant power to shape societal perceptions, beliefs, and values. It also influences how people perceive themselves and others by providing information that reinforces stereotypes and exaggerated images. In Indian media, there are stories that are often overlooked and voices that remain unheard. Be it the horrifying caste atrocities or our own success stories, our narratives are frequently brushed aside. The few that do make the cut are told from an upper caste gaze, reducing Dalits and Adivasis to mere spectators in our own lived experiences. So why is this an important issue? Because who tells our stories matters. Those who get to decide the news discourse possess great power as they can manufacture public opinion. In India, the population of Brahmins, the topmost caste group in the hierarchical caste system, accounts for less than 4% of the population. However, according to a 2022 study by Oxfam India, 88% of leadership positions in Indian media are occupied by upper caste people. In contrast, Dalits and Adivasis contribute to no more than 5% of articles in English newspapers. This disparity is significant because the storytellers reflect the worldview of a minority, that is the upper caste, who are claiming to speak for all. As Dr. B.R. Ambedkar once remarked, journalism in India was once a profession. It has now become a trade. It has no more moral function than the manufacture of soap. It does not regard itself as the responsible advisor of the public. His words ring true today more than ever. The high level of caste discrimination in every aspect of our society, especially education, as highlighted by one of our previous speakers, stresses the importance of how these stories are reported. Most media houses do not report on such stories unless there is a public outcry about it. The stories of Payal Tadvi, Rohit Vemula, Darshan Solanki, and countless others fade into obscurity, buried under the weight of other sensationalized news.
A lot of people talked about history today, right? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar quoted, "They cannot make history who forget history." But do we forget history or don't we know our history at all? Do we all know our history? Okay, this is not going to be a speech, so I want you to raise your hands or say no or yes, anything is fine. Do we know our history? Yes? Okay, I have a question for you all then. We all know Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, but we haven't read him completely. Still, we all claim that we are Ambedkarites. We are Ambedkar's children's, grandchildren's. There is long way for us to go ahead, learning, following his ideology. There are a couple of women, many women, who participated in Ambedkarite movement along with him. Can any one of you name one woman? Any woman? In 1942 in Nagpur, there was a huge conference, Dalit Women's Confederation. And 40,000 women gathered. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was there, but the whole conference was led planned, strategized, and implemented solely by women. We don't remember any of them. Sadly, we don't know our history. Yet we claim we know our history. So that is the reason a Nigerian novelist, Chinua Achebe, says, lions should have their historians. Otherwise, what will happen? The story of the hunt will glorify only the hunters. So basically, so far, I remember one of the previous speakers told us that whatever we learned in history lessons was not true. It is not our history. That is the reason why sitting in a history class would be always boring. It never made sense reading about some Tantya Tope or somebody who fought for our country. But how many of our people died building this nation? Do we know their names? We don't. So in 2015, I have been active in this movement for the last 12, 15 years. I mean, very young. My dad happens to be a BAMSEF member. My uncle happens to be a BAMSEF member. So I was automatically very much inclined towards understanding Ambedkarite ideology. But yet, I always had a concern for women. So I wanted to know who are the women who made history. Yes? Don't we want to know? Our society, our community raised questions, filed a complaint, and then they took off the video and the ad. The commercial was gone completely. So who is telling our stories? You rightly asked that, right? We need to tell our stories. We are the lions. We are the panthers. We need to tell our stories, and women especially need to tell their stories. So going forward, I would say that I am representing Project Mukti as well. This is my organization. It's Ukatha Foundation, registered as Ukatha Foundation, which is a Pali word which means excellence, to identify women. And you know what? We have been into different roles in this society. Our jobs were different. We were actually given a particular job to do, right? We didn't have any bright future. So after Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we started imagining, we started claiming our rightful space in this world. But women today can become entrepreneurs, they can become journalists, they can become anything. But we need to provide this platform.
इसी मंच से विश्व पटल पर डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर की विचारधारा को कैसे प्रसारित एवं प्रचारित किया जाए, इस पर चर्चा हुई, जिसमें महत्वपूर्ण विषयों पर चर्चा हुई। जातीय हिंसा, जातीय भेदभाव, महिला उत्पीड़न, मिशन में युवाओं का योगदान इत्यादि विषयों पर चर्चाएं संपन्न हुई।
Speech of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Ladies Teach Their Children. Date 20 July 1942, Nagpur. Speech given by Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar on the occasion of Dalit Women's Conference. It is my pleasure to speak in front of you at your conference on this special occasion. On no other occasion, a man feels happy or progress well-being of the Dalit class. Feels the progress well-being of Dalit class be more happy than when he sees the community of women. It was unimaginable 10 years ago that you would be present here in the number of 20 to 25,000. I am a big believer in women's organization. I know what they can do to improve in the society if they are taken to faith. They has done a great service in regarding social evils. I will prove this from my own experience. Even since I started working in the Dalit community, men and women have been involved. That is why men and women have been seen councils are mixed. They are mixed council. I measure the progress of a society by the extent of which women have progressed and the extent to which women have done the great job. When I see this community, I feel confident. The final words of my message to you are educate, encourage and organize belief in your own strength and never depressed. I will always with you and I know you will always with me.
என்னை பற்றி ஒரு சின்ன அறிமுகம்தான். நான் எடுத்துக்கொண்ட தலைப்பு புத்தரின் பாபா சாஹேப் அம்பேத்கரின் ஜனநாயகம் என்கிற தலைப்பை நான் பேச வேண்டும் என்று விரும்பினேன். ஆனால் இங்கு இருக்கிற கூட்டத்தை பார்த்தால் நான் ஜனநாயகத்தை சுருக்கிவிடலாம் என்று நான் எண்ணுகிறேன். ஏனென்றால் ஒரு மிக நீண்ட நெடிய ஒரு விரிவான ஒரு தலைப்பு. தலைப்பை பற்றி உரையாற்றுவதற்கு கொஞ்சம் நேரம் எடுத்துக்கொள்ள வேண்டிய தேவையா இருப்பதனால் இங்கே இருக்கிற மக்களின் நலனை கருதி நான் மிக சுருக்கமாக அதை முடித்துக் கொள்ளலாம் என்று நான் நினைக்கிறேன். நீங்க பாபா சாஹிப் அம்பேத்கரை பற்றி இந்திய அரசமைப்பு பற்றி மட்டும்தான் நான் பேசிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். புத்தர் காலத்துல சங்கம் என்கிற ஒரு அமைப்பை தொடங்கி ஒரு ஜனநாயக முறையை முதலில் நடைமுறைப்படுத்தியவர் யார் என்று கேட்டால் கௌதம புத்தர் தான். இந்த ஜனநாயக முறை தான் பாபா சாஹேப் அம்பேத்கர் அவர்கள் இந்திய அரசமைப்பு சட்டத்திலே அதை நடைமுறைப்படுத்தி இந்தியாவில் ஜனநாயகம் இன்றைக்கு ஒளிவீசிக் கொண்டிருப்பதற்கு மிக முக்கியமான காரணம் என்பதை நீங்கள் உணர வேண்டும் என்பதற்காக நான் இங்கே பதிவு. இந்த ஜனநாயக முறை என்பது சங்க இலக்கியமும் சங்கமும் போய் பார்த்திருப்பீர்களானால் சங்கம் இலக்கியம், அந்த சங்க இலக்கியத்தில் போய் பார்த்தீர்கள் என்றால் அற இலக்கியங்கள், நீதி இலக்கியங்கள், ஜஸ்டிஸ் லிட்ரேச்சர் என்று இருக்கும். இந்த ஜஸ்டிஸ் லிட்ரேச்சர் என்பது ஏதோ இந்துக்களாக அவர்கள் எழுதி வைக்கப்பட்டது இல்லை அவர்கள் கொடுத்தார்கள் என்பது நான் மறுக்கிறேன். ஜனநாயக முறை என்பது தமிழ் இலக்கியங்களிலே அங்கே கொட்டி கிடக்கிறது. ஜனநாயக முறையை தான் இன்றைக்கு ஏட்டிலே இருக்கிற ஜனநாயக முறை எல்லா இலக்கியங்களும், அது ஐம்பெரும் காப்பியங்களாக இருக்கலாம், ஐஞ்சிறு காப்பியங்களாக இருக்கலாம், சங்க இலக்கியங்களாக இருக்கலாம், நீங்கள் அதிலே போய் பார்த்தால் ஜனநாயகம் என்கிற முறை அப்படியே இருக்கிறது.
During the 1917 and 1980, despite the poor socio-economic status, lack of resources and deprived educational status, the backward community witnessed great number of the political and social leaders. Even the mass amount of people suffered from educational awareness. The priority of the common man was engage himself in the Ambedkarites movement. Although the large number of people was lacking the resources and opportunities to represent the establish its own unique and remarkable political ideology in the state of Maharashtra. The establishment of this ideology led the common man overcome the socio-economical barriers and seize various opportunities, allowing him to through the progressive individuals. These individuals further made remarkable efforts to uplift their community. Thus, it was not only a political revolution, but an overall revolution that ultimately brought the attention of the entire nation toward the Ambedkarites community. Along with the socio-economical progress made by the individuals from the Ambedkarites community, the priority of the common individual was to participate in the movement in the order of safeguard the interest of the society. All of this again lead to consolidations of the individual's efforts, thereby the strengthening the individual's efforts, thereby the strengthening the Ambedkarites movements. From 1970 to the 1990, Ambedkarites community had its own unique voice that joined the hegemony among the common man. This was considered to be the turning point in the Leo Ambedkarites movement. Today, unlike the 1980 and 1990, there is no political and social voice among the Ambedkarites individuals. It can be seen that the Ambedkarites community lost its political hegemony. It's acquired after a decade of struggles during the 1970 and 1990, the socio-economic status of the today's Ambedkarites community.
I am presenting a paper on the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar visions on the higher education. Education is a vital for the societal progress and the individual development, shaping one's ability to think critically and make informed decision. Baba Saheb's missions emphasizes the importance of the higher education, empowering people and strengthening the society. His ideology and strategy focused on the lowering education to uplift communities and the drives social progress in present day context. Next, please. Contribution of the education to social progress is seen as a fundamental right and the opportunity for the backward classes. Backward classes recognize education as their most valuable asset in the struggle for progress. It's acknowledged that without education, their existence is precarious and the lack security. Next, please. The status of the communities as a Dalit in the Hindu caste system was the most serious impediment to their education, while stringent social taboos conscribe their behaviors. Severe strictures will let down to prevent their access to knowledge. On the pathetic condition of the untouchables, Ambedkar had given. For the Ambedkar object, the idea for the untouchables was to raise their educational standards so that they may know their own condition, have aspired as to level of highest Hindu, and to in position to use political power as a mean to the end. That is, Ambedkar said the educate, agitate and the organize. Education profoundly impact the humanity society for fostering rational thinking and the decision-making abilities. Developed nation priorities education evident in their high literacy rates and the productive workforce. Next, please. Agitate is Baba Saheb strategy referred to a mental revolution rather than the physical protest. It emphasizes the importance of the educating oneself. Mental agitation serves as a precursor to the organized effort aimed to achieving social changes and the empowerment and the discourage violent protest. Organized word is defined by the Ambedkar emphasized that the importance of the education, organizing and the agitation for the achieving social changes and the empowerment. Despite facing discrimination, Ambedkar prioritized education and succeeded in the education himself, highlighting its transformative power. Conclusion is that the battle is not for the wealth or power, but for the reclaiming the essence of the human personality. Educate, agitate, and organize. This order must be maintained to see the effective result of the movement for the upliftment of our people in all respects. Ambedkar said, my final word of the advice to you is educate, agitate, organize, have faith in yourself.
It's really wonderful evening today, and it has been really very nice experience throughout this convention, and I really compliment and appreciate the hard work being done by Dr. Panjamurthy ji, my brother Hemant ji, and Sujit and all their team members. So it's really great opportunity for me. I would try to tell you what exactly we are doing, because most of us, they know a lot of things about Baba Saheb, his ideology, his life, his struggle, his thought process and everything, work, etc., etc. Like Madam said, history also. He had already enrolled for PhD. PhD is completely awarded, but he did not have money to pay that Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So they did not allow him that PhD. So he called me, sir, 1 lakh rupees lagta hai. So we have good network of good people. I appeal them, please come forward now. This young chap, he is in need and we should help him. So immediately, jitna bhi humse hua, 50, 60,000, 80,000 we collected and we gave him, and now the PhD is awarded to him. So, you know, so very small way we can help our community. It's not talking big, it will not make any sense actually. But helping students, helping needy, women in the field of women empowerment, we organize so many skill development programs also, vocational programs also for ladies, for their self-reliance. So there are so many programs, gate coaching, okay? In during COVID time, we collected from employees within ourselves, our employees, we collected 10 lakh rupees from the employees, and we distributed free of cost all the ration kits and essential supplies to the people. We went, when everybody was at home during the strict lockdown, we went to the villages, we went to the slum areas of Mumbai, and we distributed that ration kits to our poor people. Okay? So that way, dear friends, all the gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let me very clearly mention here, very humbly, that talking big about Baba Saheb's movement and his contribution won't serve any purpose. We have to start from our own self, and then from home. Then only we can contribute for the community and realize the dream of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So I think that's all.
डॉक्टर बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर इनकी 133वीं जयंती के उपलक्ष्य पर सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमों का भी आयोजन था। मलेशिया स्थित कलाकारों ने इस वक्त रंगारंग सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमों की प्रस्तुति भी दी। डॉक्टर बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर इनकी 133वीं जयंती के उपलक्ष्य पर 2 दिवसीय इस अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कार्यक्रम का सभी ने आनंद लिया। बड़े आनंद और उत्साह के साथ इस 2 दिवसीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कार्यक्रम का समापन हुआ। समापन में मिशन के आगामी कार्यक्रम पर चर्चा हुई और कुछ महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय पारित किए गए। उत्साह, आनंद, चैतन्य, बंधुता, विश्व बंधुता के तत्वों के साथ 2 दिवसीय यह अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कार्यक्रम संपन्न हुआ।